Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report for the channel, and today for you we have a 19 threat match between the Black Order and the Avengers. A little bit fuller table than I think you're supposed to have in general, but thought it looked good, so we're going to run with that. And without further ado, we're just going to jump straight in, take a look at the two teams and get things started here. So here are the Black Order, and despite playing 19 threat, both sides today actually only have 4 miniatures because the big guns have come out to play. On that note, the Black Order is being led by Thanos, even though the Corvus Glaive affiliation bonus they've added feels better. But either way, the big man himself is here, and he has brought the reality and the power stones, so he's generating a flat 4 power? Yeah, 4 power in every power phase. And alongside him, he has Black Dwarf, right behind him there, and then we have Supergiant and Black Swan over here, the newer releases for the Black Order. And their tactics cards today: Black Onslaught, Mothership, Blood to Spare, Price of Failure, and Medpack. And here are the Avengers today, being led by the Hulkbuster, so it gives the Hulkbuster affiliation bonus for less damage from being chucked and thrown and collisions and whatnot. And apparently he's made friends with the Hulk, because Bruce is here. So the Hulkbuster and the Hulk teaming up today to take on Thanos. I think that'll be a pretty cool fight. And they brought along the Vision and also War Machine. And their tactics cards would come down here: Avengers Assemble, Heavy Firepower, Gamma Launch, Helios Laser Bombardment, and Second Wind. So as always, I'm sure some of you have already spotted the objective tokens set up ready to go on the table, but here is the 2 crisis cards being played this week. The Extraction, Alien Ship Crashes Downtown, always a favourite. He lied. The 3 Rubble Piles to get the Kree Power Core. You either find it straight away or it just is a nightmare. I think it was a nightmare last time it was on the channel. 2 VPs for holding the Power Core. If you don't attack, you take damage while you're holding it, and you have to roll 2 dice and get a crit on one of them. In theory, should be simple. Rarely is. The threat value being played on is the Secure. Intrusions open across the city as seals collapse. This is the 3 Dormammu Dark Portals. You can pay power to go through them. Actually, do you need to pay power? No, you just drop all your objective tokens and you potentially get placed somewhere different, and either way you take 1 damage. But you get 1 VP for each one being held, 3 potential, and they both use map C. So they're right along the table here. Put the Rubble Piles on top, because once the Power Core is found, those get removed. But Portal, Rubble Pile, Portal, Rubble Pile, Rubble rather, and right up here on the building somehow, a Portal and a Rubble Pile. So in a line across the side of the table, deployment and deployment, and with that we'll be back when that's done. So we are all set up and good to go. The Black Order are to your left, the Avengers to your right. The Black Order have taken first activation, and it is the same number of activations per side. They both kind of deployed in different sides of the table, though I guess that shows where they're going to be pushing. For the Avengers, we've got War Machine, the Hulkbuster, and the Hulk down here, although the Vision is up there. And then if we come over to the Black Order, they've deployed much more close together with the 3 of them here, but then Black Dwarf over there kind of by himself thanks to the portal bursting through the ground there. But yeah, so we'll get started then with the Black Order in turn 1 and see how this plays out. So Black Swan got the game started, medium moving twice to get towards the central Dormammu portal, and more importantly the Rubble Pile there. She is spending her 1 power to try and search for the Kree Power Core, and did not find it with 2 hits. So for the Avengers, it was Rhodey, War Machine, that activated, and it was basically the same move for him, double medium move down to here, to try and search this Rubble Pile and hold this portal. Should point out though, if he finds the core down here, that is going to be very problematic for the Black Order being on the far end of the table, although I guess they can use the portals to teleport, but let's see then. And it... okay, well, just going to be flipping that real quick. Rhodey now has the Kree Power Core. He also did not attack on his turn, although again, it's a bit nebulous whether or not it applies on the first turn in which it's found, but it seems to, so he will take 1 damage. But he has the core, and that's a problem. Well, the Mad Titan himself activated and immediately spent 2 power on Cosmic Portal to send Black Dwarf forwards, just range 2, so not super far or anything like that, but putting him a bit further forwards, which helps because he's small movement. Then, the Titan himself moved up to help contest that middle portal, and didn't really do anything else. He could have taken the portal to get over to where War Machine is right now, but he's staying put to try and just claim majority on that middle portal. The Hulk activated for the Avengers and spent his 3 power he starts with on Gamma Leap. Classic turn 1 play for him, whether he's on his new card or his old one. During Hulk's turn, he's within 2 of another allied character, not holding an asset or civilian. he can spend 3 and chuck them a whole range 5. So he picked up the Hulkbuster and chucked the Hulkbuster into contention for that middle portal, and then for his actual turn moved small twice to also do that. Now that's got to be a scary thing to see the Hulk and the Hulkbuster just staring you down, and that does mean that the Hulkbuster gets to attack twice and still end up holding a portal at the end of his turn. Supergiant was up next, and she unfortunately moved small, so after moving twice, didn't really get her that far up the field. It just got her there, just poking around from the girder there, looking at War Machine to go after him next turn. Second last activation for the Avengers was Vision. He moved medium twice in order to get to the far left from our perspective. Dormammu portal, and he can fly, so he didn't suffer any kind of impaired movement for climbing up the building. So he's up there. Didn't mention on camera, but he had selected to be better against energy this turn, expecting a long range attack to come in that might end up biting him a little bit, but he can always rapid shift. Oh, he can actually. That costs 2, doesn't it? Well, he might be in trouble this turn. So yeah, that was a little bit of an oversight there on Vision's part, not having enough power to phase shift if needed. Black Dwarf activated, last activation for the Black Order in turn 1 already. He hopped up onto the building. He's already moving small, so it doesn't matter about impaired to get into contesting range. He did his basic attack on Vision, 6 dice physical, and did 3 damage. The roll was really decent and only went up against 2 defense dice, which gave him enough power to then use Black Fury to pick Vision up and chuck him off the building. Didn't take any damage from that because he didn't impact anything, but is now obviously not holding the point. So the Hulkbuster got turn 1 finished, and he stayed where he was thanks to Hulk throwing him up the field and just cracked out those heavy repulsor blasts. Did the first one into Black Swan, did not manage to do any damage to her. Thankfully, if it does no damage, he then generates 1 flat power from it rather than damage done, and it does a push regardless of damage, so he shoved her back small. Then he did the same on Thanos and rolled much better against him. It did 3 damage, reduced down to 2 because of his being of immeasurable power, or whatever the passive is called. It's reduced damage received by 1 with no minimum. So he still took 2 though, and he was also pushed back small. So a little bit of power generation, didn't need to pick up or throw anything. He's holding onto the power to use the build to take it roll, I think. And more importantly, holding that portal uncontested now. So the end of Battle Round 1, that's a bit of a bumpy start for the Black Order, of course, with War Machine being the one to find the core at the wrong half of the table they kind of were hoping to focus on. On that note, the Avengers have the power core, so they score 2 for that. They hold the central Dormammu portal and the one down here as well for 1 for each, meaning that their total is to 4. And the Black Order only score 1 thanks to Black Dwarf holding the portal right at the top end there. Vision took a bit of damage, Thanos took a bit of damage, and there was some repositioning by Supergiant, sorry. And that's about it. So that is the end of turn 1. As we go into turn 2, the Black Order should retain first activation though, so we'll see what damage they can do. Well, Battle Round 2 got started with a rather bombastic activation from the Mad Titan Thanos, and you'll notice he's not there. That's because he opened his turn by playing Mothership. So he and, who was it? That was he and Supergiant coughed up 2 power each. As long as you're not holding an objective, you get placed within 1 of the other. So he was teleported all the way within 1 of her down here, just in front. Then he moved to get himself contesting that portal. Then he sunk 3 power into Empowered Cosmic Blast, 5 dice energy. Normally, you can put up to 3 power into it, get up to 8 dice, and it would have done a push afterwards had it not done what it did, which was 6 damage. We're just down to 5 because of War Machine's Titanic Alloy, or whatever it's called. But that's still enough to one-shot him. Doesn't even matter that the core damaged him. That's just, he has 5 health on his healthy side, so Thanos one-shot him. That's his power, and then he paid 1 to pick up the power core. So now Thanos is holding it, War Machine ain't getting a turn, and he's contested, or he's solely holding this portal. Now I know you might be thinking there was an alternative play here where he could have simply walked to this portal, paid the 1 health to teleport down here, and overall that would cost less power. Yes, but there's also a chance if he'd rolled a skull or whatever on the portal, he gets placed by the Avengers and he'll get stuck up there for the rest of the game. So he went for the option where he controls where he went rather than leaving it up to chance. Vision activated and wasn't really feeling the matchup against Black Dwarf, so he moved medium back onto the roof again. He can fly, so no hindered movement. Then he paid 1 power to interact with the portal and did not get placed by the opponent, and spat himself out all the way down the table, right down here. So that's the 1 damage he took from taking the dark portal. Then he spent 4 power on Synthesoid Avenger on Thanos. You know, you don't count crits as successes and don't roll additional dice for them, so it kind of counteracts him having the Reality Stone. But he would have done 1 damage and Thanos' passive brings that down to 0. So he managed to do no damage. That would have been a very bombastic turn if he'd managed to do something. But no, the Mad Titan took it to the face and just laughed. Bit less of an interesting turn for Supergiant Black Swan, still confusing the two of them. Supergiant activated, and in order to just try and secure some victory points to make up that deficit from turn 1, she moved up twice with Thanos just to give them majority control of this portal unless Hulk or Hulkbuster decide to come down here. So they're holding that now. The Hulkbuster activated for the Avengers now turned him to face his target, although he didn't actually move during his turn. And he only used one of his activations. He's ending his turn with an unused activation because he doesn't want to move. He can't reach anyone with his range 3 attacks, but with Helios Laser Bombardment, he can certainly reach people at range 5. So it's only 2 dice energy base, but then you can put any number of power in. Hulkbuster chipped in 6. The Hulk chipped in 3, so that was 9 extra dice, taking it to 11 in total. And it also hurts any enemies within 2 of the target for 1. And he dropped the Death Ray from space on the Mad Titan himself. It did 6 damage, reduced down to 5. And because of that reduction, he actually lived on 1 HP. So Thanos is in a bad spot now. Supergiant takes 1 damage from the big burst explosion from it. But he did stay standing, and he's still holding that core. Well, Black Dwarf activated and immediately spent 1 power to interact with the portal. Unfortunately, he rolled a blank, so the Avengers placed him. They wanted to go down to the portal Thanos is at to hopefully generate enough power to then use Medpack. Not going to happen. He got spat out right there. So he took 1 damage from taking the portal at all. And then for his turn, he didn't want to feed Hulk power so that Hulk could Gamma Leap over to Thanos. So instead, he just went after the Hulkbuster. Did 2 basic strikes on him. The first one was an utter whiff. The second one managed to do 2 damage. Didn't spend on build to take it on either attack. Black Dwarf, as usual, just hitting way below his class and his threat limit. Well, things quickly spiraled for Black Dwarf and went from bad to worse as Hulk activated. And remember, this is his updated card. His basic strike is 7 dice physical now prior to any buff from him being damaged. So he unloaded one of them onto Black Dwarf. Did 5 damage, reduced down to 4 because of his invulnerability roll. And also has an optional push before damage is dealt, which he made use of to push him away from the point. But got him for 4, used 3 of that power generated, because you get power equal to damage dealt, to do a Gamma Leap, followed him, and also kind of blocking off that side of the portal, because the portal is in there. Then did another one, but it spiked, and it did 8 damage, reduced down to 7, and just destroyed him. So Black Dwarf is dazed, he's out of there. Oh, there would be an opportunity to use Blood to Spare. Need to wait or see in a second whether or not I want to use that yet, or wait until like Thanos is potentially dazed. But yeah, either way, Black Dwarf is down, and that just leaves Black Swan to end off the turn. So we just went ahead with Black Swan's activation, not using Blood to Spare on Black Dwarf, saving that for Thanos potentially going down, because he can hit so hard and he's generating so much power that whoever does manage to take him out is going to have to take one heck of a hit to survive it, or survive doing it. So in order to secure some points, Black Swan just moved twice to get this portal up here. She could have went after Hulk, he's at full health, it didn't seem worth it, and she can't she can't contest this even though she could get in because it's 2 versus 1. So she's securing some points for her team. Thanos stayed standing though, so that's going to score them some points, but we'll cover that in a second. So at the end of Battle Round 2, both sides have had someone daze. Thanos is really close to dazing, and that's especially bad because the Avengers have priorities going to turn 3. But first of all, to cover the points, the Black Order have actually managed to catch up. They have the core on Thanos himself down there for 2. They also hold this portal for 1. And Black Swan has that portal up there as well. So that takes them up to 5. The Avengers only hold the central portal, which also takes them to 5. So as we go into Battle Round 3, it's all even, 5 apiece. Avengers going first, and that'll be bad news for Thanos if he gets taken out. So Battle Round 3 started quite busily. War Machine activated since he seemed like the best bet to take out Thanos. Spent on Empty the Clip his 8 dice physical. If he rolls crits, he rolls doubles instead of 1 single die, but he hurts himself at the end. That's part that's irrelevant, he didn't roll any crits. In fact, he barely did enough damage. He did 2. Reduced down to 1 is enough that Thanos was dazed, at which point Blood to Spare came out to play. So we'll just cover that real quick. When an allied Black Order character would be dazed by an enemy effect, it can spend 3. He immediately performs an attack before getting the dazed token. If this results in him removing damage, he isn't dazed. That's a rule that's existed because of her. Anyway, he smacked War Machine back for 5 damage, reduced down to 4 because of his titanium alloy. So, and he pumped in 3 power into an energy blast, incidentally. Oh, which actually would push him back as well, which might affect things. He probably still would have reached his target. You know what? No, he wouldn't. Because, well, he would if he was willing to hit Vision. So we're actually going to remove that damage from her, because he used his basic attack on her, and it does flat 1 if she takes damage from a physical attack. But Thanos' blast would have shoved him backwards, so his other action would have been to move back. So everything has happened as is, just ignore the damage that was on Supergiant there. During his turn then, he also played Second Wind after all that had resolved, after paying 1 to pick up the core again. And this is just Avengers can pay 1, and those that do can heal damage and stun. He paid 1 to heal 1, Vision paid 1 to heal 1, and the Hulkbuster paid 1 to heal 1. Black Dwarf activated and immediately spent 3 power to pick Hulk up and chuck him down here. Didn't collide with anything, so the Hulkbuster affiliation doesn't kick in or anything like that, just wanted rid of him. Then he moved up to contest the portal here. Then he spent 4, is it? Yeah, 4 on brutal and 8 dice physical. Hulkbuster spent 1 on built to take it, fearing that perhaps a lot of damage would get through. Here's the roll. That's the roll right there. 2 successes, no wilds or anything like that either, which was required to get the stagger on it. Needed at least 1 wild. The Hulkbuster fully blocked and took no damage. Now that's obviously just a bad roll, but in general you can't help but feel like Black Dwarf, how did he manage to not get an upgraded card at all when the rest of them did? Ugh. Vision activated, and for the bulk of his turn just did 2 solar energy beams, which are beam 3, but Thanos is dazed so it doesn't matter, on Supergiant, and he didn't manage to break through our 3 energy defense either time. However, before damage is dealt 4 wilds, he saps power, so he was actually able to successfully sap 1 power from each effort, and as a result that gave him enough to do Synthezoid Avenger to pick her up and chuck her. Just threw her down the field because she moves small. It's just to force her to waste at least 1 action getting back. Oh, did forget to mention, when Thanos countered War Machine and pushed him back with that energy, with the Cosmic Energy Blast, it also slows, which is why he now has the slow token. So things went a bit bad to worse for the Black Order. Supergiant activated, moved up small, not close enough to contest this portal, but because War Machine and Vision are both standing. Oh, actually it wouldn't matter because only Vision is on his healthy side currently. But she wanted to try and attack to work on getting that Kree power core off of War Machine. She used Mental Vampire, 5 dice mental attack, or mystic attack, sorry. And it generates 1 flat power, and if she dealt damage she would have managed to heal herself. But there's the roll. That's the roll right there. So she did nothing, so no defense roll was required. And you have to do damage with it to get the heal off of it. Well, the Hulkbuster activated and still refuses to yield that central portal there. And a very Crisis Protocol thing happened. He started with a Meteor Punch for 3 power. 8 dice physical, it does a throw if it does damage, onto Black Dwarf. And it did absolutely nothing. He fully blocked it. So then he just did a basic Repulsor Blast, 6 dice energy. And that managed to do a bunch of damage. You can see the roll there, over there. It managed to do, oh actually it would be reduced down to 4 though, sorry. Forgot about his invulnerability. So it did 5, but got reduced down to 4. Pushed him away from the point as well. So Black Dwarf is taking a beating. He has 8 health on his dazed side though, so he's still okay. So last activation in this battle round for the Black Order was Black Swan. She was up there in the building. She paid 1 power to interact with the portal. She got to be placed where she wanted, which was right down here on the other end of the table. Popped out here, took 1 damage for her trouble of course. And then she used her basic strike on Vision because he prepared himself for energy defense this turn. Doesn't have any power to shift phase, or phase shift I should say. But the first effort she did no damage. So she could have went after War Machine with an eye lasers, but that would have meant she had no power to pick up the core anyway. She is the only healthy character there if she dazes Vision, so that's what she focused on. Did another 5 dice physical. This one spiked. Did 4 to him, so he is dazed. So now she's the only healthy character down there. The core's still with War Machine, but at least she's still essentially scoring what she would have scored if she'd stayed up the other end of the table. But this way is also kind of in the fight. So it's over to the Hulk to end off the round. Well, following Hulk's activation, you'll notice the battlefield has changed ever so slightly. So he moved up small for his first activation, then he tried to do a Hulk smash for 4 power, 8 dice physical, no extra damage, dice thrown in for damage because he's not been damaged. Didn't manage to get a single wild for a stagger or a throw, but did manage to do 3 damage, reduced down to 2. He then spent 2 power, which is what he had left, on Strongest One There Is. Pick a size 4 or less terrain piece within 2, chuck it medium. He picked up the size 4 scaffolding and hawked it into Black Dwarf's face. And he didn't do, well he did okay with his dodge roll, but he took 3 damage down to 2, and with the 4 damage already on him, that in total is precisely enough that he is out of there, which is a massive loss for the Black Order, and that does take us to the end of the round. So then battle round 3, Black Dwarf's gone. Thanos is going to be flipping over his card, as is Vision, and victory points wise, the Black Order only gain 1 for holding this portal here because Black Swan is the only healthy character at the time. The Avengers, they hold the central portal for 1, and War Machine is once again in possession of the Kree Power Core for 2. So that puts them at 8. 8 plays 6 as we're going to battle round 4 with the Black Order once again having first activation. Oh man, the start of battle round 4, Thanos went full fine I'll do it myself. Spent a total of 6 power on 2 fully charged Cosmic Blasts, so 5 dice energy, boosted up to 8. First one on War Machine did 8 damage, reduced down to 7 by his alloy. Not good enough. He is obliterated into dust, and Thanos paid 1 to pick up the Kree Power Core. He then did 1 on Vision, and that did 7, and Vision was rolling 5 defense dice because he was anticipating energy attacks. Not good enough. He is dust. Thanos just got a double kill, and all of a sudden evened things up. Well, it's suddenly become rather all or nothing for the Avengers. The Hulkbuster activated, moved medium, which placed him there. He then spent 3 power on a Meteor Punch on Thanos, and all said and done. There's the roll right there. Yeah, now, that said, Thanos whiffed his defense roll, so despite only 2 successes, he did actually manage to deal... Oh, yeah, hang on. Oh no, it was 2 damage. He whiffed entirely, so it came down to 1. Yeah, I thought, oh, hang on, it gets reduced to 0, but no. He did 2, and it came down to 1. Which isn't good enough when on his flipped side Thanos has 9 health, but there you go. Supergiant activated, stayed where she was and used 2 mental vampire attacks on the Hulkbuster. The first one got through for 2 damage, on the second one he paid the 1 power for Built to Take It to reduce the damage received. It also did 2, so it came down to 1. The Hulk activated and immediately spent his 3 power to Gamma Leap range 2, which was basically the other side of that dumpster. Then he moved small down here, and then just did his basic, although very hefty, strike into the back of Thanos' head. It includes an optional push, which he did choose to use to get Thanos kind of out of the way at the point. Pushed him over here, got him for 4, reduced down to 3, but that's more like it. That's pretty decent damage. Unfortunately, not holding the point or anything like that, and they're just going for they have to try and take them out before they get taken out, essentially. Black Swan activated and immediately spent 2 power on Medpack to get rid of that 3 damage on Thanos, so he's lost that and just has the 1 on him now. Then she stepped forward to block the portal a little bit and then did her basic strike on the Hulkbuster, and if the target is size 4 or less and she rolls a wild, she can actually push them. So as big as he is, he got pushed back, didn't use Built to Take It, so he took 1 damage, and that takes us to scoring already for battle round 4. So at the end of battle round 4, the Avengers are not shifting at all. They gained no victory points that turn. They're staying on 8. The Black Order have the Kree Power Core in Thanos' hands for 2 and are holding this portal here with Black Swan for 1. So that takes them up to 9. So they have the lead. 2 turns left. It's probably going to go the distance because I don't think any side can now gain enough to win. Although obviously if there's a tabling, that's going to change things. So the Avengers have first activation in turn 5. Let's jump in and see what happens. Well, once again, not exactly the bombastic turn they needed. The Hulkbuster activated, moved in, and then did a meteor strike on Thanos. Got him for 3, reduced down to 2. He generates no power on it, but I don't think that matters. I'm pretty sure he's at 10. So it doesn't matter much. He is also contesting the portal there, and he counts as healthy, so he needed to do more damage, I think, but we'll see how this plays out. Well, Supergiant activated for the Black Order, and I think we've reached what we call a GG type situation, because I haven't been mentioning it, but she does have a passive where if enemy within range 4 rolls a crit anytime, she generates power. That's her main source of power, because her actual attacks don't really do much, they just generate 1 flat. Not that she's been spending it besides Mothership on turn 1, but Thanos chipped in Death's Decree, because she's on her healthy side. She got 2 extra dice for doing her big spender, 8 power to do this. It's 8 dice Mystic up to 10 thanks to Thanos. It's called Devour Intellect, and it does a bunch of stuff, but very specifically, if we take a look at the roll here, if you get a crit, a wild, 2 hits, and 2 skulls, right, I think it's 2 hits, it might be 1 hit, either way, if you get that bunch of stuff, after the attack is resolved, you daze the character. and the character she targeted was the Hulk. And if the Hulk gets dazed, he dies. So he just went from full health to 0, and it was removed from the table. So yes, we could continue playing, but the Hulkbuster is going to go down. He can't keep up with their point generation per turn now. They're already ahead, so this is going to be an Avengers concede right there. So we don't really need to cover the final score thanks to it being a concede, giving in to the 3 surviving members of the Black Order on the table. They were winning 9-8. If things had carried on, they would have gained another 3, and the Hulkbuster, well, at the end of that turn, the Hulkbuster wasn't contesting, was he? Or he wouldn't have majority, so that would be 3, so that would take them up to 12, playing 8, and then another third turn it would be the same again. So that would probably take them to 15 at best. But it doesn't matter because of I think I said Devour Intellect, it's Devastate Intellect. It never deals damage, it would sap all his power, which would have meant Hulk couldn't do any Hulk smashes or anything like that, and he wouldn't have got stronger, because it does no damage. It does cost a massive 8 power, but her main way of gaining power is Omnipathy. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Omnipathy? Either way, that's how she generated the power mostly, thanks to being around Hulk and Hulkbuster, generating themselves some crits. And Vision did once as well, I think. But yeah, if you get a crit, a wild, a hit, a skull, skull, Devour Mind, after this attack is resolved, if the target character is healthy, it becomes dazed. And if it was injured, it just dies. But in Hulk's case, dazing is dying. So a fantastic way for them to end there, just instantly one-shotting the Hulk by devouring his mind. Oh yeah, that's why I thought it was Devour Mind, because that part of it is called Devour Mind. But very sneaky, using Thanos to chuck in a couple of extra dice, because that couple of extra dice improves your odds of getting the super bizarre selection you need for it to actually prog. Even if it doesn't though, if you just get a bunch of wows, it stuns and staggers. It's a very good skill. But yeah, using Death's Decree to have 10 dice to potentially get those 5 results, or 6 results, sorry, on top of any crits you get, obviously rolling extra dice, is sneaky. And if she was on her wounded side, it would have been 4 extra dice, making it even more likely to get the results you need. So that was a very, very sneaky, underhanded, in-character way for the Black Order to win the day. And yeah, that was incredible. I don't think the Hulk has ever been one-shot on this table before, but now he has. Oh well, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to support what we do here, please do consider becoming a channel member, pressing that thanks button, or just a like button if you can't afford to give anything. I understand, times are tough. But anything that is given is reinvested in the channel. Thanks very much for watching. Also, this is going to be the closest you see to Sentinels on the table for quite some time, because those kits are way too expensive. But hey, we have the little destroyed ones, so whatever. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you next time. Ta for now.